Ariel E. Mitchell is a skilled civil litigation advocate who provides exceptional legal representation for clients in Miami, throughout Florida, and really several other states. Her practice focuses on high profile cases where she leverages her extensive experience to achieve the best possible outcomes for her clients, both male and female. And Ariel herself has been in the news a lot lately, representing alleged victims of one, Sean Combs. We've been hearing a lot about him, AKA Diddy, or as I like to call him, Dirty Diddy. So, warning, today, Ariel and I are going to be talking about the reality of the music business, the culture, exploitation of all kinds, including sexual. So, buckle up, warriors. You have been warned. And the website for Ariel is arielesq.com, arielesq.com. All of Ariel's information will be in the body of this video, so don't worry about that. We got to get right to it. So welcome, Ariel Mitchell, to the Warriors.
Thank you for having me, Lynn.
Well, I'm just so thrilled you're taking the time. I know how busy you are to join us today. I want to start, though, with you. I'm curious, what do you want to share about yourself? Like, where did you grow up? Anything you want about you. I want to know you a little bit as a person.
So I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I grew up with, I'm going to start telling this story more and more, with Emmett Till's mother. So I make jokes all the time that I spent more time with Emmett Till's mother and Rosa Parks than I did my own mother. So Emmett Till's mother had a troupe that she called the Emmett Till Players. And it started off after Emmett passed. She had gotten Coretta Scott King to give her a license to teach children public speaking skills by teaching them Dr. King speeches. So she started this off as a school teacher, and then it migrated to our church, Evangelistic Crusaders Church of God in Christ in Chicago, where Mamie Till was a founding member. And at the age of 3, I became one of the featured speakers. By the time I was 7, I was the star speaker of the troupe, and I was on the renaming. If you ever been to Chicago, 71st Street is Emmett Till Road. So in 1991, we had a parade, and I was the featured speaker for that renaming ceremony at age 7. So I have a foundation. I did all kind of Rainbow Push oratory competitions as a child. I've won several bonds from the Rainbow Push Coalition in Chicago as a child. I pretty much didn't attend school from January to March every year from ages 5 to 13 from traveling with Mamie Till, talking about Emmett. And I do partially feel a sense of responsibility and embodiment that I did help keep Emmett's name alive, at least that last, especially in the 90s with Mamie. And that was one of the things that she wanted to do. And I think she's done a good job of that, even in her death and Emmett death. He is still somebody who we're referencing today. So a lot of my sense of passion and civil rights and all of that has been ingrained in me from being around them my entire childhood. My mother was a drug addict. My mom died at 41 as a drug addict on the street. I've had custody of my brothers since I turned 18 years old. I did not have an easy life. I'm the only person in my family to have an advanced degree. My grandmother was 35 when I was born, even to this day. We're only 35 years apart. So I came from the trenches, as they say in Chicago, from very extenuating circumstances to where I've seen how my community, the Black community, has been marginalized in the law, in society. And I wanted to do everything that I could, from having the values instilled in me from the church and also with Mamie Till, to do something with my life. And I believe they helped craft the path that has led me to where I am today.
Wow. I knew, Ariel, that you were a warrior. Like, I didn't know any of that information. I did not know that at all. And I like to leave it, share what you want to share. What an incredible history you have.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you for doing that work. And thank you. It is a story, that still needs to be told. And to, all of that, we have to keep that going for our children. Our children really have to, I'm always concerned about kids, especially in the last couple of decades, but, we have to teach them the real history.
It's so funny that you bring up kids, because when my daughter was 7, I got the article because I still have the picture from 1991, and I showed her. I'm like, look, here's mommy. I'm 7. Here's Mamie Till. Here's Rosa Parks. And my daughter looked at me and she said, "Mommy, how old are you?" And it really bothered me because I feel like the kids are taught that this was so long ago. And these things weren't that long ago. They were recent, very recent history, and making sure the kids understand, especially the children in my community, the Black children, that the atrocities that we were facing and the rights that we were fighting for were not that long ago, and we're not so far separated from those things.
No, I mean, it was basically yesterday,
Yesterday.
just say. And I also, as an adult, it's like now I feel like I'm at my smartest, Ariel, like, because I'm going back decades, like looking over
Right.
what I was taught, what I learned growing up in Jersey, then coming to New York and all that. The history books, they're not, a lot of it is misinformation or glossed over. And, I think it's time we really get back, but I'm so hopeful because in studies we have and different things I research, the pendulum is slightly swinging back,
Mm-hmm.
slightly, but I really feel it's our duty and the public's duty, to be responsible for keeping all this going while all the other stuff is, happening around us, like the Diddy stories and all that, that people just love to talk about all the time, or just, but we've got to really keep our history going. We're a young country. These things are just all new, right?
That's the
Compared to
part
like,
we don't realize how young
yeah,
a country we are when we talk about the Spains or the Germanys or the
right.
Belgium. We're very when I visited Spain, I was in shock. I was like, oh my God. Like, this is in
Yeah.
comparison to the States is nothing. So yeah.
Nothing. So my next question I have is, you sort of started answering it. I want to ask you why you became a lawyer. What did you started answering it, but I just love, you're a strong voice, you're a strong presence. Um, Tell us what led you. You could have gone in different directions. Why did you want to study law and help people?
I could have went in the direction of all the other women in my family, which was being a teen mom.
Right.
That was a generational curse I first had to break. I wanted, from the age of 15, I always knew I was going to be a lawyer. Mainly because on the one end, everybody is like, Ariel, you talk so much, blah, blah, blah. You should be a lawyer. But it really became seeing how my family was being marginalized and treated, from my mother to my brothers, being a child of the system, being a ward of the state myself, to my grandmother and my grandparents, just feeling how the justice system was affecting my family, and feeling how I felt we were being marginalized, I guess is the best word, but not represented. And we didn't have a voice or advocate, and wanting to, at a very young age, being very cognizant of that and wanting to advocate for those who would be otherwise unable to, or otherwise not have access. I realized a lot of my family's issue was based on access, lack of access to things. So I didn't want to then fall into that trap the same way they had, and wanted to provide my family at least an advocate. And that's where the base level advocacy started. And I
Mhm.
always excelled educationally in academia, so school was always very easy for me. It So becoming a lawyer wasn't like a hard thing in terms of the educational component. It was just making sure I stuck to it, and having you know the wherewithal, if you
There
will,
with
to make sure that I actually became a lawyer. That was the only thing that I needed, and I had the strength from God to get me here. He opened the doors. Most people from where I come from, impoverished backgrounds,
that.
lack of education, lack of resources, typically don't make it to where I got to. I have a lot of people to thank. Actually, my best friend co-signed my loan my first year of law school, and then my second year of law school, a celebrity who I've known since I was a teenager gave me the money to pay off my credit so that I could stay in law school. So without those people, I wouldn't be here either. But God put those people in my path in my life because He knew I would need them later on.
I mean, really, God bless you because, we at the Warriors work with a lot of girls and women. It is very hard to break the chains, right? And to hear your story, I mean, I had no idea. I mean, this is incredible because sharing your words with a lot of our community, Ariel, will be very empowering. They just need a hand on the
And I
shoulder,
know it
you
starts,
know?
yeah, it starts with them, and you have
Yeah,
to be the change you want to see. You know, it's easy. It would have been very easy for me to fall into the path that was
yeah,
already created for me. It was very difficult for me to go into the rainforest with a machete and just the fate that God will protect me and forge my own path. The path I had set before me was nobody expected anything from me. My mom was a drug addict. I was a ward of the state. My grandparents raised me. I could have very easily been a teen mom like everybody else. That was what was expected of me, and I think it's hard to not do what's expected of you and what's already easiest to do. This was not a difficult path, and the one thing that brought me through it was faith. You have to have faith in yourself and faith in God that He will bring you through. And I think that's a lot that's lacking with people today is they don't really believe. They don't believe in themselves and they don't believe in God. So I think once you do those two things, there's nothing you can't accomplish in this life.
absolutely. Very empowering words. Now, I want to understand, how did you end up? Let's talk about the culture of the music business. I'm kind of
Sure.
giving you a big brand, like, it's a big landscape, but
Oh my God. Huge
you know,
landscape.
I don't just jump in because I've been hearing stories for decades now. Like, I heard about Diddy decades. I'm not kidding. From the 90s. Did I have proof? No, it was just, hearsay. People told
Hearsay.
me things, so I can't go around. I would say to various people, go to law enforcement, or, oh, no, 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 no. You don't understand. Like, can't do that. My career will be ruined, or I'd rather forget about it, or they go along with it. I'm throwing a lot at you, but
No, of
one
course. Those
one
things are
thing,
true.
Ariel, I keep thinking about now that, like, I'm older, is like also empowering. It's a tough thing, empowering our young girls, and I mean young girls because the ages get younger and younger, and I'm talking about 11, 12, 13 through
Mhm.
teens now. Like, that is not cool. I don't really know how to do it, like, to empower them. I understand everybody wants to be near celebrities. I understand everybody wants money. They don't want to stand and work in a grocery store if they can go on OnlyFans, lift their top up in a bedroom and make 20 bucks. But, like, this whole culture of girls, celebrities, here's my bottom line. Tell me if you agree. If somebody offers you something and it seems so great, run the other way. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I'm going to leave it to you because there's, like,
Yeah.
so much here to jump into.
Well, I definitely think we have a two double-edged sword here, and that's what is being portrayed in the media, and then what young girls find relatable. So I feel that the problem that we have, especially in the Black community, is young girls can only see themselves successfully as a mother. So that's like they don't have many examples of successful women that they can see themselves in, that they can want to emulate. I feel like when we talk about a lot of the smart women are often portrayed unattractively. It's like you can't be smart and beautiful. You have to choose a lane, if you will. And unfortunately, I think that that's the first problem. It's like if you're pretty or you're attractive, you got to be a hoe. That's your only. You got to go live off a man. You should live off of your beauty. So we have a group of young ladies who they can only relate to that, so we don't have them where they're able to relate to somebody like you or like me. That's why I try to start to tell my story, because I want I've seen people call me like a plant and things that I think are just ridiculous, because I know who I am and where I came from and how hard I had to work to get here. But if I don't talk about that and I don't let people know that I'm somebody who's just like you, and I had to do a tremendous amount of work, but I found relatability in things like, for example, the show Living Single. There was a character called Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. Claire Huxtable, an attorney. Now, I didn't see Claire Huxtable litigate as much as I did Maxine Shaw, but I remember seeing these Black women lawyers and thinking to myself, I can do that. Like, and now, what do the young girls have to look to now? The baddies? I mean, you know, on Zeus, like, you know, or being a rapper's baby mama, or being on Love and Hip Hop, like, where are the examples in the media that they can go and look to and say, oh, I can relate to that. Oh, I can ascertain that status. I can mold, you know, my person based off this. The only things they have to mold themselves are a bunch of whores. Kim Kardashian to start. So, you know, that's the top woman, and they try to make her seem like she's like some influential person who works real hard, and she got famous off a sex tape.
Thank you.
So that, like, that, let's call a spade a spade. So, you know, now we live in this world where young girls think the way to get on is through sex, and that the only thing they have to offer this world is their appearance and their bodies and not their brains. As a young child, I got over my appearance a long time. I could have very easily went a different way and been on OnlyFans and been a whore. I have the look for it. So, but I didn't. I valued myself, and I think that had to do a lot with growing up with my Emmett Till's mother and Rosa Parks and my grandfather and all of these people, and having the community, my church community, the Black community, instilled this value in me to let me know I was worth more than that. And I had way more to offer this world than just how I looked. So I think, you know, until we address these things of internally, who are we promoting in general to these young women to aspire to be like, you know, and then the media, who are they portraying to young ladies who aspire to be like? And the answer is, the proof is in the pudding. We've changed from a sense of responsible women who were God fearing, who had like real responsibilities in terms of their careers, were serious career women, were also mothers and serious about family. We've lost that, and in turn promoted whoredom. And that's where we're at now.
You said a mouthful. Now I don't want to shock you, Ariel, but I don't know if you noticed, but I'm white. I'm not sure if you noticed. Not sure if you noticed, but um, here in New York, I work with so many, you know, girls and women of color, right? That's the statistic, the reality, like for sex trafficking, for labor trafficking. That's what it is, right? And obviously, all this work is bipartisan, right? Belongs to no political party. It's supposed to be for everybody, human rights. But I have been shunned a lot in this New York City, and I've been told you're blonde and white, get out. Okay. To the point, I just want to share this with you because I think you'll appreciate this. I have to go with like a black woman, a friend of mine, to get into the communities.
And
I
ally.
understand. I understand. Look, I go around with the sweatpants and a ponytail. I'm not all glamorous, so I stick out. You know what I mean? And high heels, but I still have to go. She's got my back. Like we have to work
Right,
together because I'm not welcome. They don't trust me. It's fine.
right.
But more than that, when the community opens up, it's great. I meet fantastic women who want to help. They're real warriors, people you never hear about that are the kindest. You know, we do these giveaways and things like that, diapers and period products and all this stuff. Um, but here's where I have a bone to pick. It's the groups themselves, the women who run. They're my worst enemies. I don't mind saying that. They just, I call them like 9 to 5ers. They have no passion working in this whole arena, for lack of a better word, and really don't care.
Mm-hmm,
And they shun these people. I know that
mm-hmm.
sounds crazy. They may have a human trafficking organization. They may have, you know, labor trafficking, wraparound services. What is trickling down to that victim or survivor? And that's why I'm always yelling my head off about that, because very little, even from government, from funds, from
It's to
all
them.
of this. And I am just tired of that. Can you share anything about that?
Well, I think we have a problem internally in our community of, give me a second. I'm recovering from a cold, so
I'm
sometimes it'll catch
sorry.
me.
Take your time. Drink some water. You have some water
Yeah,
there? Have some water.
yeah, give me a second, I'll go grab it.
You get some water.
I've been downing this huge thing of water lately.
No, you can never get enough water.
It's my favorite. So to your point, I think in the Black community specifically, we don't even want to address the problem, right?
Right.
The first step is admitting there's a problem, right? You can't get help for something if you can't admit and address the elephant in the room. So I think we have the first issue with we're having a lack of addressing the real elephant in the room. Then we talk about resources actually trickling down to our community. There are so many intermediaries that are taking from those resources before they get back. Then I think there's another issue where we're wondering why our own is not bringing these resources and outsiders are bringing these resources, and being weary of these outsiders and not trying to take advantage of these resources. And I'll give you an example. For instance, during COVID, here in Miami, for which was not just in Miami, but pretty much every city in every state was giving COVID funds, and given money was given to communities and like organization, not-for-profit organizations, to get the money out. The cities, the counties, the states were begging people to take money. And so there was a program here in Miami that was giving churches $20,000 grant money, free money. All you had to do is make sure you were getting like PPP products, and it was certain things that you could buy. You can upgrade your facilities, but it was, you just had to provide the receipts. They gave you the money up front. You provided the receipts at the end. And if you used everything, you didn't have to pay anything back. Great. I went around Black churches and begged them to take this money. Please, 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 please. I only had 2 churches. I went to 30 churches and only 2 accepted. And I'm a lawyer. And I'm like, I'm a lawyer. I'm not scamming you. Like, why if I was scamming you, you can go and report me. Like, I'm trying to bring you these resources, and I'm a Black woman. And they weren't willing to hear from me. And what was funny was, after the 2 churches got the money, they called the rest of the churches in the network and said, ha ha ha, we got our money. And then all of those churches started flooding me. Well, Ariel, can we get our money? And I'm like, well, it's over. I told you there were deadlines, and there are things like this is we had to follow when the time has passed. Well, is something else going to happen like that? I'm like, probably not in our lifetime. Like, this was kind of like a one-of thing. And I was trying to get you access to these resources while they were there. But you were so skeptical of me, a lawyer, a Black lawyer. So I don't want you to feel bad, Lynn, that you feel like they're ostracizing you. I think it's an internal ignorance that we need to address. Just the skepticism that we have all felt as a Black community of how do we trust and believe that the things that, because, we told there's no such thing as a free lunch. So now when there are free lunches everywhere and everybody else is getting a free lunch and we're wondering why we can't get a free lunch, and it's like, because you're skeptical that the free lunch exists. You don't even want to enroll in the free lunch program because you're saying, I don't know if the free lunch program exists. So we have to first identify the internal problem that we're having in our community, and why are we so skeptical of help or resources. And then the other problem is all the people who in between sometimes are taking from the resources. I had people, after the fact say, even with the COVID-19, when they had the COVID grants, oh, I had somebody help me get that grant, but they took 50% of the money. What? 50%? Like, that's not somebody who was trying. And then I say, oh, was that person a lawyer? No, it's just somebody who told me about it. Well, exactly. Well, and so I think that's another process, is we're talking about access to people. So we lack the access to people like us. Black people, the problem with Black people is when we get out of the hood, we typically don't go back.
Yeah.
And that's our problem. People like me, people who have ascertained a certain level of success in their personal lives and professional lives, it's incumbent upon us to go back. And until we start to do that, we're going to have this problem until people like me and you team up, where now we can, as a group and as a community. I think that's what we're lacking, is community. Like, in I just found some of my old business cards, and at the bottom it says community lawyer, because that's what I believe in. I believe in creating communities. Even where I live at here in Miami, my neighbors will kill y'all for me. Seriously. Because I protect them. When they've had legal issues, when they've had regular issues, when they need somebody to lean on, when they might need a $25 loan here and there, they come to me. Because I'm the most successful person in this neighborhood. And I live for all intents and purposes in the hood in Miami. And I prefer to live here. Because why should I take my wealth out of a foundational Black neighborhood? I don't want to do that. And until more people like me start to come back and build our community, this is going to be a persistent problem.
Wow. Our hashtag at the Warriors is community creates change. I use that 50 times a day because look, I do a lot of legislative work in our state capital, Albany, also in DC, and that's fine, well and good. There's lots of red tape and problems, as you know, there. But it really happens at the community level.
At the base, I tell people about elections. Why are you only voting every 4 years? A presidential election is the election that affects you the least. I vote in primaries. I voted in August. I voted in November. I vote in every single year. You can look up my electoral roll in Florida and see I vote every single year because the local elections are more impactful than the general elections for president. And that's where things start. That's where you get change. It starts at the base level. It starts at the root level, but everybody wants the macro instead of the micro.
Yeah, it's shocking because in the last 2 years, we were teaching that because all 52 New York City council seats were up. We kept telling everybody, and we kept saying, this is where in your community, it makes the difference. You have to get out and vote. And you know what the take was? About 8% of eligible voters across this great city of ours, 8%. It used to be 10. Now it was 8. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. So
I can believe it because that's about the voter turnout here.
8%. What is that? I don't even know what that is. I mean, listen, don't get me started when we're connected to channels.
It was one election in August where I go to the polls. There's nobody there. It's pretty much empty. And I'm looking at least 50 people just hanging out. I wanted to go round all of these people up. Come vote. It's right across the street. You're right here. Why are you just hanging out and not voting? And
why don't they vote though?
We haven't been taught that voting makes a difference. We don't believe it's impactful to our lives because I think the problem is we've never moved together as a group, the Black community. Never in history. No, I'm not going to say that. The last time we moved together as a group was the civil rights movement.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And we haven't done that ever since. And I think that was because the powers that be did a good job of taking down the leadership. So, we had a faction with Malcolm X, a faction with Martin Luther King. And I think they were giving the American government all they can take with the civil rights movement. America was looking pretty bad on a national scale, on an international scale, I should say. It was looking like the war crimes were being committed here. And then all of it went away. We have no internal leadership. We have no structure. We have no community. And that's why we continue to flail the way that we do.
What about, I'm so sidetracking here, but I have so many questions for you.
It's okay.
What about, I've spoken to so many different churches because we do our giveaways with a lot of churches and things like that. Queens, Brooklyn, all over the place. And a lot of these pastors and things, they want to be more involved. Is there not a way to really create something there with the church so we can draw the people back into the church as well to build this community to be powerful? Or is that just asking too much because everybody's overwhelmed right now?
Well, I feel like the problem is with the church first. So the church used to be a point of contact for community to be built. That's how I met Emmett Till's mother. If it wasn't for Evangelistic Crusaders, I wouldn't be here. And a lot of the community and how I grew up, I was really a church kid. I stayed with all the church families. Those were my pseudo parents as well. I spent time with their children at their houses under their direction. I think now in general, we've moved away from that. So the church isn't even relevant anymore. and the church can't reach the people because the people are not at the church.
Yeah.
So bringing the resources to the church is not really helpful because the people aren't there. So the question is, how do we either bring people to the church or bring them to Christ, or how do we turn the church, because you watch excuse me, a lot of movies, even like Django, and the church had these dual purposes. The church was a church on Sunday, but Monday through Saturday, it was a meeting place where religion wasn't necessarily on the menu. The needs of the community was on the menu. So church hasn't done that in a long time. They haven't become these central meeting places where and I think that's a problem with the church and the outreach. They're not trying to reach to the single mothers. And I think they're not trying to reach to the youth. What services are churches providing? Churches used to provide daycare, childcare. Evangelistic Crusaders, my church, they own property. So our members who became homeless for whatever reason had a place to stay. Like they actually they had a car wash and gave members who were unemployed an opportunity to get on their feet. Where are these types of resources in these churches of today? They just don't exist. So when you don't, then it's like, okay, now how are we building community if all you have to peddle me is Christ? And not to say that's a bad thing, but what about the people who God hasn't become real in their life to them yet? How do you reach that soul? How do you minister to that person? You got to get them into the church somehow, but you're not doing anything that could benefit them to show them how God may work in their life, how God could be a blessing to them through the church. So I think we need to address why that's a problem and the approach that the churches are having in terms of their outreach and their ministry to the community. Why aren't they providing daycare services or job training services, or just any vocational services, anything that could help build community and trust that then you could use as a bridge to bring that person to Christ?
I'll be investigating more when these pastors and things talk to me how it was once that way. Where did it break off and go the other way? Because you mentioned youth, obviously our future adults, our future leaders, and we're not taking care of them. And all the moms that say to me about childcare, like the biggest concern, worry, how can they even attempt to try to go to a school, get some job training, hold down a job when you're not even going to believe this, Ariel. I mean, we have these.
No. Wait, Lynn,
we got these like daycare places here.
Lynn,
but
let me tell you a backstory about me. I used to be general counsel of DCF here in Florida, in charge of child care licensing. If there's any church in Florida who wants to reach out to me, I can help you get a child care license. There is so much money in child care here in terms of government money, where they are begging people to provide free care, daycare services for children. The money is there. The resources are there. I used to be in charge of it. I know. I used to be the one who signed off legally on the licenses. So, I know how expensive it is. It's ridiculously cost prohibitive. It's almost better off to not work and collect welfare than it is to actually to try to make something of yourself, because you're going to spend $1,200 a month on daycare when you barely make $1,200 a month. And then you don't get any benefits. You lose your Section 8, you lose your SNAP, you lose your cash benefits. Where is the incentive in working? There isn't one. But if we had these churches who were providing these child care services at a discount or even a free rate, then now you're building with the community. Because now I'm going to bring my child here. And now, okay, maybe if you got something going on Tuesdays, I might come. Or on Sundays, I might come. Just because now I'm being appreciative. Now I'm a part of the community. So I have a vested interest in what's going on here. But none of them are doing that. And I don't know if it's a lack of knowledge? I want to believe it's a lack of knowledge. I want to believe it's a lack of understanding that this is a resource that they can tap into. And I am confident that in New York, CPS, Child Protective Services, the DCF equivalent in New York, they have to license the daycares there, and they do the same service that we do here in Florida. So this isn't just Florida specific. I have to believe all states DCF programs have a child care licensing division, and they are the ones who issue out the licensing. And then they have reimbursement programs. So like, for example, I would help people. Like there was one family, the parents owned the property and the daughter wanted to run the daycare. So we had an agreement made where the daughter was leasing the property from the parents, and the government paid the money to the parents because that's their lease. And now these parents are having their property paid for by the government, and there's a valuable service being provided to the community of free childcare. How is that a bad idea? Everybody is winning in this situation. And all of these people were Black. The Black parents, a Black woman who was being able to be an entrepreneur, provide jobs in her community, provide a service, and become a successful businesswoman in her own right. Her parents who are elderly, who are being able to make money off of their property. And then the children in the community who are being provided with free resources. Right. That's 3 tiers of individuals who are receiving benefits. But if you don't know that, and if you don't have somebody like me at DCF who's advocating for these things to happen, who's making these things happen for people in the community, it's going to fall by the wayside. So I think I want to believe, I'm going to say it's a lack of knowledge.
Jeez, this is something else we have to spread. And also to add to that, also empowering if the children have a safe place to be, so those moms and or dads can go out and better themselves to add to their economic empowerment. All right, let's switch gears a little bit. You mentioned Kim Kardashian a little while ago.
I did.
She's a little bit of a thorn in my side. I'll leave it at that because you mentioned,
well, I may have a case. I have a client who reached out to me who wants me to take them on. So we'll see how that pans out.
Well, you say what you want about that, but I just remember she became, look, we know it's about, I've worked in a damage control strategy. My background is entertainment. I understand how it works. When you have good PR people and you have all that going for you, you have a team pushing you. Right. I get it. But that being said, as you pointed out earlier, this is what our, girls and young women are seeing. Her with the $10,000 handbag or whatever. But frankly, she got her start with Ray J on a sex tape. And it was glorified.
It was porn. It was a porn tape.
Exactly.
Let's call it spade. Right.
Exactly. And I remember, and that's like what, almost 20 years ago now, I think. And and that's where, you know what, Ariel, I always thought that was like that demarcation for me. It's like Kardashians forward think. Now that's just me thinking like things changed, the culture changed. But you know what? I just saw that Ray J with Harvey Levin from TMZ, like talking about Diddy, and he doesn't even answer a question. It's like anywhere he can put his face, and he just sits there. But that's all I'm going to say. I But let's get into this Diddy a little bit because my whole take on this is, obviously, answer any way you see fit. I'm always about the victims, survivors. We've heard the stories for decades. I want them to stay in the spotlight. I want them to come forward, which is and I know, very tough thing. Who wants to talk about all this stuff? But then it becomes people jump on the bandwagon, right? I mean, look at all these. I mean, we're talking about it right now, right here, but look at all, I'm reading crazy things and like all these podcasts and people just saying things that I know aren't even true. Like, I want to talk about it. Here's why I want to talk about Diddy is because women and girls I know, they want justice and they're not even involved with Diddy. It's about victims.
In general.
We did not see it with other people, Epstein, just other names. And they just don't believe there will ever be justice. They believe this is the way it is. They just believe that. Keep going. And that's so sad on our society.
Mhm.
We need justice, accountability somewhere, somehow. I don't understand why he's the only one in jail, frankly, but whatever you want to talk about with this, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, in the civil lawsuits that I file, my general practice is I want the person who did it and everybody who has something to do with it. With the government, I think they just have their big fish.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really interested in the smaller fish. But the problem is the smaller fish are the ones who enable the big fish to do the big fish stuff. So
Exactly.
if we're not going to address the small fish, then why are we even addressing the big fish? Because all the small fish are going to do is go find another big fish to small fish for. And then this problem is going to happen again and again and again and again and again and again. So, you know, that's what I at least try to do in my private practice is go after as many of the people who had something to do with it. I'm not just going after the big fish. I want your friend had something to do with it, they're getting a lawsuit. Your sister has something to do with it, they're going to get sued. Anybody who had a hand in it. Because until we start holding all hands accountable,
Yes.
that's the only way we're going to be able to get over and start addressing the root of the issue and maybe actually preventing this from happening from others in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you, how did you become, this kind of go-to, rap music, entertainment? Did they just start coming to
I
you?
have no idea. It started with the Trey
I'm
Songz
calling you the
case.
queen now. I'm giving you
I
queen
don't know.
warrior.
It
Come on
started
now.
well. It started with I started as a baby lawyer in the nightclub industry. So with the
Right.
strippers here in Miami, it was
Yeah.
an easy a niche, and everybody got to understand. You got to find a niche market. You're gonna succeed. So here in Miami, um, the obvious niche was the strip club scene and the nightclub scene with the club promoters, because that's where all the entertainers come. Everybody comes to
Yeah.
Miami to do what? Party. So I started hanging out with them in law school, and kind of as they were coming up, I was coming up, and we just stayed close. And I realized that that was a group that was too being marginalized. They had money, they had issues going on, but you know, most lawyers are too snooty to want to deal with them, and those people feel threatened and intimidated. They don't even know how to approach a lawyer. They have all of these issues, they have all of this money, but they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to talk to lawyers. They feel lawyers try to what I call big time them by using a bunch of big words and making them feel small and dumb. So why would you want to do that to your client and isolate your client and make them feel like that? But just saying all of that to say is that's how I got my start. So I then transitioned into celebrities. So I was doing a lot of underground work for celebrities that people didn't. And I was happy doing that. I never saw this for myself. Then I had my client Jahara Jeffries, who for 3 months straight, she had a lawyer, she had a case with Trey Songz, and she berated me for 3 months. And I'm a sucker for a persistent person. Okay, if you want to do something with Ariel, wear me down. Okay, if you wear me down, I'm gonna take your case, because then I feel you're gonna be as passionate and serious
Yes.
about this case as I am, because you're putting in the work at the beginning at least to call my attention to it. So initially, I told Jahara no. Jahara was unwilling to accept no as her answer. She forced me really to take her case. She was like, no, 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 I need your help. I need your help. And then when I finally did take a second to look at it, I realized she kind of does need my help. And I went to my celebrity clients at the time and I said, hey, how do you guys feel about me doing this? Like, because the last thing I wanted at the time was to mess up my bread and butter, the
Yeah.
things keeping the lights on in my home. And, they were all like, everybody, it was so funny, said screw Trey Songz. No one had a good opinion about Trey Songz. So I was like, oh, okay. So they were all, supportive. Yeah, take him down. He's a bad guy. So I was like, okay, great. So that's what made me take that case. And then I ended up with 4 women accusing Trey Songz of sexual assault. Then the Chris Brown case happened. Then I had 2 women accusing Chris
Yeah.
Brown at the same time on the same day. One was in the morning, one was in the night. How crazy is that? Like, like what were the odds in that happening? Then the next year I had a case with Conor McGregor. So it's just been kind of
Oh yeah.
one going up, 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 up ever since. And now here we are with Diddy.
Yeah, snowballing.
Yeah.
I'm careful what I'm saying here before I say anything. Okay, Conor McGregor. Okay. Okay. Let's keep going. Let's sort of did you see the story breaking over the weekend about Diddy that he's got these special privileges?
And that he's been running the
Well,
jail from behind this. Yeah, he's been running jail and using
something with
people's
his kids, but something with his children through videos they're
oh yeah,
putting
he's been
out.
manipulating, trying to manipulate the press through his children. And it makes sense because I don't know if you saw his son King Combs one day said I'm taking over my dad's Instagram
I
and I'm
saw.
gonna be posting all the positive things that he did. And I'm
I
like,
saw. I'm like, what positive things? I'm like,
it's all
what?
I was like, this is all Diddy's doing. This is all, or I knew it then that this was Diddy doing this from behind the scenes. I didn't need to be told or for the government to now break that story. It was obvious. His kids have no direction and have no identity without him. So of course they're not. I don't know too. I was thinking about this other thing. Um, the kids were supposed to be doing a reality TV show.
Yes.
And everybody was like, bad time, man. Like, this is not the time. So
Yeah.
all of that is orchestrated to try to paint him as not what he is. He's been this man for 30 years. And I don't think his children, because, and the other part is people forget his children are being sued right along with him in California for sexual assault.
Yeah. Nobody talks about that.
Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the California case. Nobody talks about the California case where his two sons are defendants in that lawsuit with him.
And I also worry about those teenage daughters. You know, we just kind of see them all, you know, cute and dressed up. Like, are they in school? I saw they were cheerleading supposedly one day on some, but like, what's really going on there? What did they really?
As a former cheerleader, I don't want to disparage.
No. I know I was a cheerleader too. Don't know. I was a cheerleader. No. But I'm just
No,
saying.
I meant their cheerleading abilities. It's clear that they're receiving some favoritism on them.
Oh well, absolutely. Come on,
but as somebody who made varsity cheerleading their freshman year based off skill, and not favoritism, I had something to say. I felt a way about that, but I was also on an MTV show for cheerleading back in the early 2000s. Yeah, it was called Camp Gym. So yeah. So
I'm learning a lot about her.
Seriously.
I'm learning a lot about you today. Wow, but that's fascinating. That's fast, you know, because you can also share that with like other, you know, women and girls and stuff. They can relate, they resonate to that kind of thing. You know,
I just try to be myself. I can only be myself, and I also think that that's had something to do with, I guess I'll call it my notoriety over time. Like you talked about a snowball effect. I think because I've gotten more clients than I can count who've said, I've saw you on TV and it's something about you that makes me believe in you and know that you'll fight for me. And it's something that makes me feel good that I'm coming across in a very genuine way to people where they can see this about me to then they want to call me to have me advocate on their behalf.
No, look, right away I recognized with you that you're real. Right? That's it.
Absolutely.
You're real. And I use that word resonate again, real. The women I like are real, are genuine. You can talk. I just want to say, like, I've never been sex trafficked, labor trafficked. I had a great childhood, good parents, but I was working with a client who wrote a book about domestic violence. And that was about 5.5 years ago. And Ariel, I woke up one day, I said to my husband, I'm becoming a warrior. This is unacceptable. I know. He's like, what are you talking about? I never used that word. Poor man. I never used that word in my life.
He's so fun, though.
He's fun. Like, I'm like more serious, but he's fun and serious.
He's like, he's like in your face. I love it. I love it.
Let me tell you, I just have to say he is the greatest. You know, if every woman, I'm digressing here a bit, had a Lionel. He's very supportive of women, supportive of my work I do. You know, we do a lot behind the scenes. It goes 20 hours a day around here. Um, but he is just, I'm so lucky. I really feel that way. I have this support, which so many women don't
Don't
and
have. They
and
lack.
need kind of thing. I don't know. I was going to ask you
And
something else.
I think that's like a generational thing, because when you don't have it at the father level, it's hard to seek it at the husband level. So I think in my community, that's a big issue,
It's a
because they
big
don't have that male support at the father level. When they seek it out at the husband or spouse or companion level, it's often turns into domestic violence.
a messy. And I'm glad you said that because also like a lot of these groups we're in New York, and across the United States, I'm always at these, Ariel, you would love it, like these Zoom meetings we're doing endlessly and things because I want to put my face and the Warriors message in front of
Right.
everybody. I'm always like, we have to bring more men to the table to be
Absolutely.
supportive of women. Ariel, it's like, there's like, they don't respond. And I'm like, yes, we have to bring men. And I keep thinking of my husband who is so supportive, you know.
In my practice, like for example, no matter how good I am, I have a man with me. Like all my business partners are men, not because I want to, but mainly because that's the most in my profession. But I understand the value of when I walk into the room by myself versus the value when I walk into a room with a man by my side. And having this, not only the support of the man, but you got to realize the game that's being played here.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I feel like we're not taking full account of understanding how important men are in women's rights and supporting women and women being uplifted to be successful. They are an integral part. And while we women can do our parts, we can't just do it with women. We need the men.
Yeah, I'm glad you agree with that because I'm working hard on this one because we also have to show women good men.
Right. The
Good
example.
men.
And I think that starts with, you can't get what you don't have, right? So how do we show somebody who didn't have a good example at the father level
Right.
what a good man is at a supportive level, at a companionship level, friend, anything, and you're right. That's when we really have to introduce these examples of
Yeah.
good men for people. So, oh, okay, these are the qualities I should be looking for. This is the kind of man who will be supportive. He's going to exhibit these things. And I should be looking for these types of qualities in a man, as opposed to not knowing what I'm looking for and then getting violence in return.
And taking anything available and then it's disaster. But
And then
but
it's disaster.
also it's disaster, but also just for the psychological, like there's good men out
No, there
there.
are a lot of good men. I know a
There
lot
are
of
a
good
lot of good men, and that's why we
I've
got to
met
bring them
more
in.
good men than bad men in my life. So, unfortunately, there are a lot of women who've met more bad men than good
Yes.
men. And I feel bad for them, because that has warped their understanding of men to where they say all men are bad. And
Right.
that's not the case. I've honestly only ran into one bad man my whole life. So every other man has been loving and caring and supportive of me and what I needed to do in my paths for my life. And so I have a very different, especially if people always say I'm supportive of black men, I'm too supportive of black men, and I'm like, no, this is black men have supported me, so I support the black men who support me. I got a call. I'm supposed to be on a call starting at 12, so I'm gonna text them and tell them I need 10 minutes.
No, just we'll start finishing up. I have two more
Okay.
questions. And I'll let you go because I could talk to you for
Okay.
hours. Okay. Give us an overview, a quick overview, with this Diddy case. We're going to let it sit until it goes to trial. Like, what should be people keep asking me questions. I'm not really answering because I say it's about victims and survivors. Let's see how it plays out. Like, that's as far as I go. What do you
Uh-huh.
think the public should be looking at? Because they're very interested in this.
Honestly, I don't think this Diddy case is going to go to trial. I think it would not be advantageous for him to take this to trial. Uh, he's better off taking a plea deal. Sometimes, you know,
Yeah.
I Sopranos, I think he said innocent people plead to, guilty, just to avoid the rigmarole. I don't think he's innocent by a long shot at all, especially not of the things he's being accused of. But I think there's too much that could come out in this trial. and that could be used against him in the civil trials, which is why I don't think it would be advantageous of him to take this to trial. He's better off trying to negotiate a deal for 20 to 25 years, maybe get out in 15 and call it, call it a day. He's done bad things. He needs to repent first, and then he needs to be punished for his crimes. So, what to look forward to there? I think the only thing to look forward to is that there'll be more cases. Every day a civil case is being filed. I have at least 3 more that I plan to file, and maybe 2 more on top of that. So like I plan to file another case around Thanksgiving. My next case will be right before Christmas, and then the next case will be right before New Year's. So that's 4 weeks maybe of just me, Ariel. Tony Buttsby been dropping 5 cases every Monday. So
I don't know. That guy's got what, 5,000 million cases now? What is it?
Right. So, he got, and then there are people who are filing pro se cases against Diddy with no lawyers. So, I think what people need to wrap their heads around is this is 30 years of victims coming out. Yeah. So the number should be bigger. It should be a larger amount of people. Yeah. And it's not. And, so I think we should stop being shocked at the volume of individuals who are coming forward. We just need to expect that more is going to come out, and I really believe justice will be served.
I do too. I'm in agreement with you. Finish us up, and I know you have to go. Okay. Give a few words of empowerment or Ariel empowerment to some girls and women out there, because if anybody can do it, it's you.
So what I would say to any young lady or young woman or girl out there is to believe in yourself first. You have to believe in you, and then you have to believe of the power of God within you, because that's the source of the belief is in yourself. And if you can just believe in yourself that you can do anything, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the obstacles. I have seen obstacles look like a mountain and still set off on that journey. Yeah. And when I got there, that mountain was at my feet. So do not be deterred by how big your problem may seem, because it's perspective. Don't worry about how you're going to pay for something. Don't worry about any of that. How are you going to do this? No, because you're going to psych yourself out, and you're going to talk yourself out of your own greatness. You just have to blaze that path one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, and keep walking, and know that God will make that mountain a molehill once you arrive at it, and that you have nothing that'll stand in your way as long as you are walking in the path that God has chosen for you. And that first starts with the belief in yourself that God has put you here to do something great. Everybody has been put here to do something great, whether God just gives you the choice whether or not you want to access it or not.
Amen. I mean, Attorney Ariel Mitchell, you are the best. I love you so much. Thank you for. Oh,
anytime.
I do.
I'll come back anytime.
No, just the beginning. I mean, thank you for sharing your voice, your expertise, your incredible story, which I didn't even know about, your youth coming forward and all that. Unbelievable. Must be shared more. And thank you. I'm going to have all of your information in the body of the video. And I just have to say, you simply are the best. I feel empowered. We want to empower everybody. And please stay safe, and promise me that we will definitely speak again soon.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Sure. I'm sure once I file these other cases, I'll come back.
That, and remember, I don't know if I'll ever get you back, because there's a lot of cases coming up. But anyway, I will get you back.
You'll get me back, Lynn. I'll make time for you. Don't worry.
I know you will. Just remember, you're a warrior.
You're a warrior too. I love it. We're all warriors. I actually have the Chinese symbol for warrior tattooed on me.
Interesting. So we're like twins almost. Oh, we got to talk about that next time.
We got to talk about that. All right.
All right. Thanks, Ariel. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, love.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.